Now, my colleague there said that young lady had done 2,000 miles with her VW transporter. In fact, it was 200,000 miles. Now, in the old days, you might have shouted at someone over that, but that is not allowed anymore. As it is revealed, and I'm not suggesting for one moment that my colleague's a child, she's not, she's a fully grown adult, but shouting harms children as much as physical abuse, says research. A study found those who are subjected to harsh language are at higher risk of being mentally unwell as adults. That's very troubling. The researchers estimate 1 in 6 children is physically abused, 1 in 3 suffers what are called tongue lashings or verbal abuse. So that's obviously double half the number. Those physically abused have a 52% higher chance of poor mental health in later life. 64% is the figure for those subjected to verbal abuse. Let's end there with all the numbers and try and get the reality and obviously hear your stories. This is a very serious subject, but is it, and obviously you don't want poor emotional health, mental health, whichever one calls it, but can it be caused by verbal abuse? Noel McDermott is a psychotherapist and founder of Mental Health Works Limited. That's Mental Health Works Limited, so is a professional in this field. What would your input be on this? Morning to you.
I think the research is really helpful as it evidences what we know from clinical experience. One of the things that research says, and I like you, I don't want to get too much into the detail, but the verbal abuse, because it's minimised by people, they think it's not as serious, it goes on longer. And the key takeout is any form of abuse, the longer it goes on, the more of a negative impact it has on your life outcomes. And particularly the earlier it starts, so with very young children, and then if it goes on for a long time, then we know from evidence that as an adult it's going to have very negative impacts unless you do some work to ameliorate that.
Define verbal abuse. Is it just one shouting at? Is it continual? Is it belittling? No. What do you see it as?
It's undermining and belittling consistently. If the background noise of the relationship between the caregiver and the child is one of negativity about the child, that's a very serious problem. And that's true of any love-based relationship. So if I'm in a relationship with my intimate partner and the background noise of our relationship as adults is one of negativity and distress, that's a very serious problem for us as social animals.
Let me ask you, is this solely parents and guardians, or does it include youth workers and teachers? Where do you think this stretches to, Noel?
Anybody in a position of authority where what we call attachment processes are opened up in that child. So where there's any form of emotional dependence of the child on that authority figure, that's the crucial thing to understand.
I was blessed. I had 2 loving, supportive parents. Hopefully I've done my best in return for my 2 sons, but I did play quite a lot of sport. Yeah. So I was at a school where I don't teach didn't cross the line, but if we played quite badly or we hadn't listened to the lessons, he let us know about it. Is that abuse?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's got to be consistent and it has to produce these sort of stress responses in the child where the child feels a problem with the attachment. So if the child feels secure in the relationship can be complex in all sorts of ways, as you're suggesting, Nick. But if it makes the child feel insecure, which is about consistently undermining them, then that's a really significant problem.
So someone rings Mental Health Works Limited and they're running a Saturday afternoon football team or a Sunday morning rugby team, and they say, no, I keep telling the lads what to do, or the girls for that matter, they will not do it. I want to get my message across in a strident tone, but I don't want to cause mental health problems. How would you respond? What advice would you give?
I'm teaching them about attachment-based leadership.
What does that mean? Now, I'm sure that, there are books written about that, but for someone, in my layman's terms, what does that mean?
If somebody feels secure about you as a person, they're more likely to work harder for you. It's that simple. Does that clarify it?
That does clarify.
That's all it is. And if somebody's afraid of you, they're going to work less hard for you.
But if I keep telling the fullback to every time you catch it, will you just boot it into touch? And every time he or she catches it, they try and run the length of the field and they get tackled and we give away a penalty. And I keep saying it, come on, I'm going to make you. No, you're a great fullback, but will you just boot the thing into... I've asked you this for the last 10 weeks. What do I do then, Noel?
I know it's frustrating being a leader, Nick, but that's the way it is, right? So you have to step up as a leader and understand that making your followers feel secure, whether they're children or whether they're colleagues.
Yeah.
They're going to be much more functional for you. And you may well be working through some insecurities in the individual.
Yeah.
So that's the fallback. And it may be that they're having a problem learning. That's fine. And you may need to do a bit of one-to-one with them so that they do understand, so that they stop getting really anxious when they go to boot the ball and make a mistake.
Finally, how is the state of emotional health among our children, our younger people? Is it deteriorating? Is it roughly where it was? I'm going to have to say the C word. What was the impact of COVID?
We haven't bounced back from that, I'm afraid.
Have we not?
The evidence is quite clear that we haven't. The evidence is quite clear that what happened was the severity and the amount of psychological distress increased, and we haven't clawed back the progress that we're making. So, for example, we know that underage drinking has started again. And since 2015, that had been dropping off significantly.
Right.
And these types of indicators are very serious indicators of distress.
Okay, really enjoyed our time. Look, I'm going to have to put you on the subs bench for this weekend's game. Is that all right? You'll bring on the oranges, Noel. I have told you...
I'm happy to be an old banger on this show anytime you need, all right?
Really enjoyed our chat. Look after yourself, sport. Thank you. Noel McDermott, psychotherapist and founder of Mental Health Works Limited.